Green Beat, where we talk all about percussion. Today's topic is on a subject that all percussionists should be familiar with, and that is none other than changing the batter head on a snare drum. Some of you may be wondering, well, when do I change the head on my snare drum? Allow me to answer that question for you. You want to change the head on your snare drum when it loses tone, when you accumulate excessive dents on the head, when the coating on the head wears off, or when the head rips, which is also known as a busted head. In order to change the head on a snare drum, you're going to need a couple of items. The first of which is a drum key. These come in various shapes, sizes, and forms, such as the high tension key, which is best suited for marching band where the marching drums need a high amount of tension across the head. Or one like this, which is a magnetic key. This key features a magnet on the inside which allows the drum key to stick to the lug and not fall off. The second thing you're going to need is lubricant, which will apply to the lugs on the snare drum to ensure that they move with ease. What I have here is lug lube, which is made by Latin Percussion. You can also use any type of automotive grease or bike chain grease. The third thing you're going to need are paper towels, which we will use to wipe off the excess dirt and dust from the bearing edge once we remove the snare drum head, as well as the lug casings. You will also need paper towels to wipe off the excess lubricant from the lugs. The next thing you're going to need is a new drum head. These come in different sizes as well as different tone variations. So it is very important that you double check to make sure you have the right size snare drum head that fits on your snare drum. Also, it is very important that you do research on which tone you want prior to buying a drum head. This snare drum is used in the concert world, so the tone I want from my snare drum head will be one that is best suited on the concert stage. The last thing you're going to need is a drumstick. We will use this much later on in the process to test the drum after we've applied tension to the new head. Now that we've gathered all of the necessary materials to change a snare drum head, we can now proceed with the first step. Step 1 is to detune the snare drum. This is done by taking your drum key and unscrewing all of the lugs until they are free from their housing. Once the lugs are loose, you can use your fingers to take them out. Next, we can remove the hoop. Be sure to keep all of your lugs and the hoop in a safe place, because the last thing you will want to do is bend the hoop or lose a lug. Uh-oh. Step 3 is to remove the old drum head and discard it. Step 4, take some of your paper towel and wipe the excess dirt and dust from around the bearing edge, inside the drum, as well as around the lug casings. Step 5, replace the old drum head with a new drum head. Personally, I like to center the crown or the logo on the drum head across the snares so that I have a nice reference when I'm playing. Step 6, take some of your lug lube or your automotive grease or bike chain grease and lubricate each lug. It only takes a little bit. Also, this part can get very messy, so be sure you have plenty of paper towel on hand. Once all of your lugs are lubricated, you can now proceed with step 7, which is replacing the hoop as well as the lugs on the drum. Be sure to align the lugs with each casing. Once you align each lug with each casing, it's okay to give them a little twist. We will do more of this in the next step. But for right now, it's okay to secure them in their casing so that they don't fall out. Once your lugs have been secured in their casings, you can now proceed with step 8, which is finger tensioning each lug. By finger tensioning, I mean turning each lug with your fingers until you can't turn them anymore. This will allow us to begin the tuning process from an even level of tension across the head. Now that your drum is finger tight, we can now begin the tuning process. This is done in what I like to call an adjacent spiderweb fashion, which means once we turn one lug, instead of going to the lug to the left or to the right of it, we go to the lug across from it. Moreover, I like to use a series of half turns when tuning a drum because it allows me to tune the drum at an even rate without blazing past the sweet spot in the head. Now that our lugs are in tune with each other, we can now test our drum. You can now turn your snares back on, take your drumstick, and play on the head a little. Once you're happy with the tone of your snare drum, you can now take it to the concert hall and play away. This has been another episode of The Green Beat. Until next time.